Welcome back, everybody, to episode 32 of the YouTube channel that's dedicated to the development and construction of the Lake Erie and North Shore Railroad. Welcome back, and I am very excited that you're here for this little two-part series we're going to do. We're going to take right from the development of laying down the foam, laying down the sculptamold, laying down the ground cover of everything that you need to do to go from the foam to this beautiful scene that we're going to create, which is a hill involving a waterfall and a stream. And we're going to plant some trees on this scene that we made in a previous episode. And it's just a beautiful scene. And the thing that is very important about this whole thing is the techniques that you're going to learn are going to help you employ this all over your layout. You can make your own scene. You can use the techniques that we're using to, complete the exact same scene, or you can modify it to fit any place on your railroad. So you're not going to want to miss this one. Okay, it's a little two-part series. Beautiful scenes created and some beautiful techniques that you can use all over the place again and again and again. Now, I want to also thank everyone for subscribing to the channel. Oh, I love the support that's coming through from everybody. I love the comments. Keep it going. Keep telling everybody that, subscribe to the program. The more people we get, the more wisdom we have, and the more everyone can learn. Okay? Now, we always start with an injection of railroad soul.
Across the prairies to the sea, they lay the iron for the rails and we ride. They shared their lives, their hearts, and their pride. They had railway soul.
So we're continuing on with the road work. As you can see, I have got this sort of off-road ramp going over the tracks. I have to sand that down and get it all painted up. But that's going into the ethanol plant, into the parking lot there. And then we're continuing on the road that goes nowhere, goes there, but I'm decided to put in a bit of a hill here. Okay, and this is going to be built up more. I'll come down here, and then I thought I'd put a little stream in here, and that stream will go down under the road. Okay, come out over here. And then this stream is going to disappear down in here and then come up again down there. Okay, so I thought I'd just outline this is the green foam phase. So I'm just going to continue on. Now what I've also thought about is when I put the water sort of epoxy stuff here, this is going to have to come off. So this section, let me just back up here. So this section just comes right out, so that when I put the epoxy there, then I can put the epoxy there, so that it's, do a little bit at a time, I hope. Okay, so it just doesn't all run down. So this part just comes out, and then I've put a bit of a retaining wall there. So we're gonna, have the hill come up sort of a little bit higher than this, I think. And then it's gonna start over here somewhere. Probably right after that door, we'll have a hill come up. Okay, so this is just continuing on with the putting in the scenery. So this will be like a hill with a waterfall and a retaining wall. All right, so I'll just continue on, and once I got some more stuff done, I'll update you. Okay, so we're continuing with the laying the riverbed for the waterfall. And so I just thought I'd show you how I do this. So I have taken some plaster of Paris and I've mixed it to consistency, you know, pretty much like pudding, you know, maybe a bit thinner than pudding. And I put a little bit of brown paint in the plaster, and this isn't going to be the final color. It's just I put that down just because that stark white really, I don't like it. So I thought, what the heck, put a couple bits of paint in, and then so I'll show you how we do this. Now I'm going to try and do it so you can see. So we just take a blob, just put it in there, and we're just going to flatten it out a little bit so that it looks like a riverbed. And it's thick enough that it's going to sort of stick on here. And once you get it in, you want to sort of keep that flow going so it looks like there's water been flowing on this riverbed. You can get it up the sides a little bit, that's fine. That's all going to have sculpt mold in there eventually anyway. But what you want to do now is just make that look like it's a part of a riverbed. Now, I've just realized that remember back in there's a mirror, and I've just realized I've got some of the plaster on the mirror, so I'm going to have to make sure I take that off. But here, I'll just... Oh, I can see now I've missed a spot, so I'm going to go back over there and take that out. There we go. So I'm going to clean that mirror off, and then I'll come back with a close-up of how this looks, and it's starting to look a little bit like a riverbed. Okay, so I've finished this application of the plaster of Paris on the riverbank. Let me just give you a bit of a, let's just look at this. You can see I just put that in there, just trying to give it a, looking like it's a flow of water. And remember, I've put that mirror in there so you can see back the mirror. Now once that has water in it, hopefully it, or the epoxy stuff in it, it's going to look like the water is continuing to flow. I'll just give you a different look here. So this is down the waterfall, down to the tunnel under the road, and then following on, and then that is going to go down to meet up with that river down there. At least that's the illusion I want to try and create. Okay, so this is the application of the plaster of Paris, and other things that I did was because I had some left over, I took it up the sides and I filled in some spaces here that were you know, they would have to be filled in anyway at some point, so I just filled them in with the stuff that was left over. All right, so now what's going to happen is we'll paint this again with a few different colors, and then we'll put some Sculptamold, and I'll get back to you at that point, and then we'll get the rest of the stuff done. I want to finish all of the sort of surrounding scenery, at least to a certain point, before I start putting in the epoxy stuff to make the water. All right, so that's where we're at. I'll get back to you when I have something else. All right, we're continuing with putting in this river. Let me just back this up a bit. So we're continuing with the landscaping here along the road and up here along the river up to this hill area here. And so I've started to put in some Sculptamold here. Now I've put in some gray paint in with that Sculptamold, and that it doesn't matter. Look, over here I've used brown, over here I've used gray. It really doesn't matter because we're going to paint this again anyway. I just put that in to make sure that all the Sculptamold gets covered with some kind of paint, and then when you put on the next batch of paint, it's a little easier. And you can see that I've started to fill in this retaining wall. So I've put some stuff along the bottom, and I'm starting to put stuff along the top, and we're going to continue with that now. But what I want to show you now is I'm going to try and put in some culverts under the road here. And what I did was I just used a piece of this, I don't know, piping for irrigation or some kind of water hosing stuff. I just cut off 2 chunks, and I've just kind of set them in there, and they seem to look like they're gonna work okay. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go get some Sculptamold ready, and I'm gonna keep this Sculptamold white, just because I think that might look better on the culvert, but I can always paint it if I want to. Okay, so I'm gonna go get some Sculptamold ready, and then we'll show you how to put these culverts in, whether they look okay. Back in a minute. Okay, so we're going to attempt to put these culverts in. Now I went and mixed up a bunch of Sculptamold. Now not very much, about a 1/4 cup Sculptamold. And it is sort of this consistency, this thickness, a little thicker than I would normally use it. And I'm just going to start by applying it here. So I'm just going to hold that culvert where I want it. And we're just going to put that Sculptamold around there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Sorry about my hands in the way. I might just put a little tiny bit more down here. You might not be able to see what I'm doing. I'm just filling in around culvert. Okay. looking good. Okay, now I'm just going to go around and just shift the camera here, and we'll go to the other side of the culverts. And we'll see if we can do the same thing here. There's kind of this big wad of the sculpt mold. I just want to get it out to the edge. It looks a little bit like a culvert. Just a little bit, tiny little bit down there I need to put in. Just right there. And then when that sculpt mold hardens, the culvert will be there. Excellent. Just smoothing this out a little bit. Awesome. Okay, perfect. So that's how we did the culverts in there. I'll come back when those are dry and we'll have a look and see how they look. Okay, so now I'm just gonna pen back a bit on this. So remember this section here, actually I built it so I could take this out. So I could do the waterfall in here in stages. Now I've been rethinking this and I'm thinking it's probably not gonna work. I've got to do some sculpt molding on all this area. It's just gonna make it too hard, I think. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pin this in here just to keep it in place, and then I'll sculpt mold around it. So I'll readjust the camera and then I'll show you how I'm gonna pin this into place, and we'll just have to scrap that old idea. Now you'll notice I have started to put some more sculpt mold on here, and that was just what I had left over from doing the culverts. But I'm gonna continue doing the sculpt mold, and when I get that sort of first coat on, I'll bring you back. So I'm gonna show you how to pin these right now. Okay, so I'm just using these skewers. Now, one of them has some paint on it because I've used it for something else, but all we're gonna do is take these skewers, these long, almost like toothpick things that you use to make kebabs, And I'm just going to take those, and this one I'm just going to shove through here on an angle, just like this. Shove it straight into the other one. Okay, there. And this one I'm going to take up here. Shove through like this. Okay, now if you can't get them all the way in, that's okay. Because you just take a pair of these little snippers and you just get in close and you snip them off. So I'm going to try and get it so you can see what I'm doing here. Just snip that one off. Now you can see that's in there pretty good now. I'm going to take another one and put it right in here, just to make sure that that's firmed up. And then I'll come back and I'll show you how the sculpting mold looks. Okay, stay tuned. Okay, so just realized that I got a problem here. Every time, so this is how you walk in to the train room, and as you walk in, you come through here and you hit this with your shoulder or your arm. So I just realized I'm going to have to put a piece of molding or fascia. Just add a bit more. Put a bit of fascia, just protecting this area here so that this doesn't get knocked all the time. So how are we going to do that? Well, I went out and found an old piece of masonite in my junk pile, and I have sprayed it with Windex, okay, on both sides, and I have left it sitting like this for a couple days, and every time I've gone by, I've just sprayed it again until I got a nice curve. You can see the curve on this. I just set it down. Okay. Now this might get a bit shaky here when I move this up. I'm going to show you what I'm going to try and do. And it's hard. I got one hand to move this stuff. I'm going to try and put this piece in here, something like this. Okay, now I just realized I'm going to have to bring it down a little bit so that it can screw into the 2x4s. There's another one right there. So I'm gonna go cut this, bring it back, screw it in, and see how it looks. So you gotta wish me luck on this one. Okay, so got this little piece of molding put in here. Just back up a bit. So now when someone walks around, they're not going to hit this, knock this scenery over. Now I do have a couple things to fill in here, but I'll just fill that in. Now these screws are there just to hold it till the glue dries, and then I'll just take those out, and that should stay in just pretty tight. And this discoloration here will go away once I paint this. I'll just paint it the same color. Let's go around the other side, have a look. Okay, looking good. This side, I just angled that down. And I'll just fill this in with some rock in here. And some trees up here, hopefully. And hopefully that you won't even see that. Okay. Now the culvert's drying in nice. Other side drying in nice. All right, looking good. Let's take this piece of pipe out of here. There we go. Okay, so that's how we solve that problem. And I'll update you when we get that all painted up and filled in. Okay, excellent. Okay, we're continuing now with the sort of start of the rock mountain with the river stuff up there now. You can see I've got a little bit more done getting the sculpt mold on. I've got some on the tracks here. I'm gonna have to get that out of there. But I've got a little bit hanging over top here of this retaining wall. And we're gonna put some vegetation and stuff off that. But all in all, starting to look pretty good. Got a little bit of deviations in here, make it look like real rock formation. And then what I wanted to show you was over here. So I put on this braid, or this part of the fascia, so that we wouldn't knock into the thing all the time. Okay, and it's coming along. I've still got to sand, obviously. Get that painted up. Okay, but that's going to do the job. Okay, now what I wanted to show you though was this stuff in here. So what I did was I just filled in the area between what was here before and this fascia with some foam, and it's real rough cut foam, but just actually pushed it in, didn't glue it or anything, I just shoved it in. And we're gonna get some sculpt mold on that right now, and then I'll come back and see how this thing is starting to look. Okay, so give you a bit of another angle here so you can see that retaining wall better. There you go. Now that's starting to look. And we'll come back once I get that other stuff sculpt molded in. Okay, so this is the, we've made some progress a little bit anyway. So let me just show you here. Okay, so this is the river at the end. Remember the culvert is here, the river's going to flow down here, and then down, it's going to come out over there. Okay. So we got a little bit more painting done on here, a little bit more color. Okay, we've got the river going up the other side. And then we've got the little hill. You can see there, the river comes out. There's a retaining wall starting to look a little bit more like a retaining wall. It's holding back some of the stuff. These out a bit, and then you can see put one coat of paint on that fascia that we added on, so it's starting to look pretty good. So that's just the update. Now I'm gonna probably put some a little bit more dry brushing on the mountain, not the mountain, the hill, and I think we're gonna start thinking about pouring the river, the creek. There we go. Now I think I'm going to put some trees up here, some trees and brush to blend in with this, and so hopefully that all comes out good. All right, talk to you soon.